Hi there, listener, and welcome to this ski podcast special with Eddie the Eagle Edwards. This is actually a chat I had with Eddie a couple of years ago in 2019, but after the Martin Bell podcast, when he mentioned the time he spent with him at Calgary in 1988, I thought it might be time to give this one a special of its own. I talked to Eddie about how his career came about, how his life changed when the movie came out in 2016, how Taron Edgerton spoke to him about developing his character, and how Hugh Jackman had a selfie taken with him. And we also talk about the future for British ski jumping, how he hopes that Team GB will be able to have another representative at an Olympics again in the future. So sit back and enjoy this chat with Eddie the Eagle Edwards. So hi, I'm here with Eddie the Eagle Edwards in Courchevel 1650, and wondered if you could just explain why you are here in the world's largest ski area.
Yes, I was invited by Ski Weekends to come out and ski with some of their clients, some of their holidaymakers, and it's also in conjunction with Ski for Cancer, and so we managed to get people who were coming out these particular times to pay a little bit extra, and then I was out here to ski with them and chat with them, and we can watch the movie together and all that kind of thing, and we raise a little bit of money for Ski for Cancer too, so it's sort of all win really.
So we talked before about why you're here in Courchevel, and you said that you were watching the movie with the people here who are on holiday.
Yeah, we have a movie night.
A movie night, and there's only one choice. Has to be
no
that.
Popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like there's been, since the movie has come out, there's been a real kind of renaissance, but it's took such a long time for that movie to come together. Because if I'm right, I remember meeting a chap called Simon Kelton back in about 1999, and he told me that he had this idea to make a movie about your life and that journey. Is that right?
It is, more or less, almost. I was approached by a production company in LA in 1999. They wanted to make a movie about my life. And then they got Simon Kelton to come to my house in Cheltenham. And we sat down, went through my life story in fine detail, and then they came up with a script. They've tweaked the script over a number of times, and they got different people to play me at different times, and the project kept stalling. And then eventually, after doing a TV show called Splash about 5 years ago.
Okay, I remember Splash. That's the one where amateurs got to do highboard diving, right?
With Tom Daley.
Yeah.
That's right. And I won that series, and Dexter Fletcher saw me perform, thought there must be a story there. And then he'd heard that I signed these movie rights some 15, 20 years beforehand.
Yeah.
And he got Matthew Vaughan to buy the rights, and then they got straight on with it. So it has been a long time
A
coming.
long journey, because therefore the movie came out in 2015.
2016.
2016,
Yeah.
Okay, so 27, 28 years after Calgary, the Calgary Olympics. Because on the off chance that there isn't someone listening to this podcast who doesn't actually know, you competed in the 1988 Calgary Olympics in the ski jump, didn't you?
That's right, and nearly almost 31 years ago, and I never thought they would ever make a movie about my life. And then when they made Cool Runnings about the Jamaican bobsled team, that was the same Olympics. I thought, well, they'll never make another movie about the same Olympics. And as I say, 1999, over 20 years ago, they decided to actually talk about a movie, and then it took a long time to come to fruition. But I'm glad it did in the end.
Yeah, and I mean, did you think, oh, this is never going to happen, this film?
At times, I just got on with the rest of my life really, because when I signed that deal, I was just about. I'd moved to Leicester, and I was just about to start my law degree. So I'd done my law degree. Over the 3 years. Then I met my girlfriend, and then we got married, had children, and I just got on with the rest of my life. I did my plastering, I did a bit of skiing, a little bit of promotional work, a little bit of speaking every once in a while, but was quite happy. And then doing the odd TV show, and then I did that Splash show, and then eventually that led to the film. So and
I take it since the movie has come out, things have changed for you.
Oh my word! It's like Calgary all over again.
Right.
Now I'm traveling all over the world doing talks. I speak at conferences and dinners and conventions and things like that. I still do as much skiing as I can whenever I can.
Yeah.
I speak on cruises. I do work for about 5 different cruise liners. So I go on. In fact, I was on 2 cruises before I came out here. So I've been away since just before or just after Christmas.
Right.
I did 2 cruises back to back, and then I've come here. So I'm glad in a way to be going home next week, so I can just unpack and wash my clothes and just stay home for a little while.
Great. So you've been, really busy. In relation to the film itself, I think I read somewhere that Taron Edgerton kind of met you beforehand, and you were actually quite impressed with his portrayal in terms of how he picked up your mannerisms and things.
Absolutely, because Taron wanted to get an idea of my accent and my mannerisms, and so I went down to Pinewood Studios, met him there, sat with him for a good old afternoon, early evening, drinking tea and eating biscuits and cake and just having chat. And he picked up my accent, my mannerisms and everything. And he must have watched a lot of video from the Olympic Games, because everything I did at Calgary, he did in the movie. And he did an amazing job. And I couldn't believe how much he looked like I looked 30 years ago. He had the jaw, the moustache, the glasses, the hair, and he sounded and acted just like me. And it was unreal. And then I was invited out on set in Garmisch, where they did a lot of the filming. And I walked out on set and my jaw just dropped when Taron turned around and he looked just like me. I went, oh my God. And then, of course, Hugh Jackman as well. And he turned around, he said, Eddie, I want a selfie. And he came rushing over and thought, oh my God, this guy, this movie superstar, wanted a selfie. And so it was really nice guy.
That's great. Although, my kids love that movie. We must have watched it 4 times, I would say, ourselves already. It appeals to everyone. Obviously, Hugh Jackman's quite an appealing character for everyone as well. I believe that sadly there was no kind of Hugh, in reality, when you were training for the Winter Olympics, there was no Hugh Jackman character like that playing a part in your life.
Because over the 22 months that I started ski jumping and then got to Calgary, I had probably around 22 to 25 coaches, but they couldn't put all those coaches in the film because otherwise the film could have been 4 hours long. So they decided to take elements from all my coaches and put them into one character. That was the easiest way to tell the story. And some of my coaches were more interesting than others. They ranged from 18 years old to 88 years old. And some had different issues, and they wanted all those issues from all those different characters. But they put them onto one.
Interesting. Did any of them ever get encourage you to think about Bo Derek?
Not really. We didn't really do it in that kind of a way. That was really good, the way they kind of did it. That jumping paradox. Because it was quite a nice way to actually explain in a simple way, basically what ski jumping is all about. So that's where some of the artistic license comes in. But what they did put in the film, because it only represents probably about 25-30% of my life as a ski jumper. And there was so much more that they could have put in, but they just took specific things but what they did use, they did very, very well. I was very, very pleased with it.
I'm with you with that. I thought it was a brilliant movie. Thinking about the current generation, I don't think anyone's competed from Britain in the ski jump since then, have they? No. But you may know that Team GB on the Winter Olympics side of things, from skiing and snowboarding, they have a goal to be a top 5 nation by 2030 in skiing and snowboarding. And one thing I find really interesting is that there's been a real change in perception. And I don't know if you've heard this quote, but Vicky Gosling, who I interviewed for the podcast a few episodes back, I'll put the details in the show notes. She's the CEO of GB Snowsport. And this is a quote from the Times the other day when they were talking about how Team GB are looking to kind of change things around. And she's talking about you. Some people say, what a joke. But Eddie challenged everything and went for it with incredible determination. What makes us Brits special? It's grit. And he had that. And I find this fantastic. We're talking about the CEO of GB Snowsport here, who's using you as an example of what Britons need to do to be successful on the mountain. Had you heard that quote before?
That's really nice. Most of the time they're being very derogatory. Clive Woodward, the rugby guy, he said, everything, Eddie epitomises everything that's wrong with British skiing. It's really nice to have something positive about that, because for me it wasn't about winning a gold medal. It was just about getting there and competing and, doing the best I could with what I had, which was nothing. And I used, the biggest tools in my tool bag was resilience and tenacity, and I never, ever, ever gave up. And that's what you need, especially from Great Britain. Winter athletes, they need that resilience and tenacity because it's not going to be easy for them.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that's what Vicky said there, that incredible determination. And what's interesting is that I think women's ski jump has only been in the Olympics for 5 years, maybe 2 cycles. And GB
Sochi
are going to develop a women's ski jump program because they're targeting that. And they see, firstly, Vicky Gosling told me that the TV figures are quite good for ski jump, but also that they can see that there's an opportunity to get people on the podium by moving in there quickly.
Well, I've always maintained the fact that we could produce world and Olympic champions in ski jumping because the skiing part is actually a very small part of it. It's how you use your skis to fly. And we could build a very, very good ski jumping facility in the UK for for summer jumping. And we jump more in the summer on the plastic than we do in the winter. And it's much better, it's much more consistent. And if we built a ski jump centre in the UK, homegrown talent, and within 10, 15 years we produce world-class ski jumpers. It is much easier to do it that way than, I'm amazed when our snowboarders and our slalom skiers and things, do as well as they do because they've got to spend time out here. Whereas ski jumping, we could, if we built a ski jump in the UK, do it all over there.
That's a really interesting idea. And one of the other things that Vicky Gosling said to me was about talent spotting and looking at other sports. And interesting, previously you mentioned splash and how you did really well in that. One of it hadn't occurred to me at all at the time, but she said to me, "Oh, maybe there's a transference between athletes who are good at high board diving because they could take." Obviously their skills of not being intimidated by the height over to ski jumping. Now you did it the opposite direction. Do you think it could go the other way? Do you think that's...
It could, yes. But we need them as young as possible. So they would have to decide. But if they definitely show a talent where they're not so intimidated by the high boards and the height, it would definitely work. Because a 10-meter springboard or a 10-meter platform board diving is it's slightly higher than maybe a 30-meter, and that's the very small jump. So you start there and then you work your way up, but it is a different kind of feeling. But if you can be relaxed on that, hopefully it'll take you forward. It would be very easy to transfer. Definitely.
Great. Well, it's interesting you said young because I believe they've targeted a girl called Mamie Cooper, who's a 15-year-old who's joint nationality. She lives in Austria, but her parents are British, and I know there are other athletes who are like that. You mentioned about ski jumping in the summer in Le Prat, Courchevel, Le Prat, very near to here. They do summer jumping, and I believe there's a chap who has British parents who you've met before, who now represents France at ski jumping. Is that right?
Yeah, he came 5th, I think, in the Youth Olympics. Jonty, and he's born to British parents, but he was born here in France, in Courchevel, and lives right next to the ski jump. And he's a very, very, very good jumper. But he jumps for France because he was born in France. And I've met quite a few people over the years where they're born to British parents, but they live in France, they live in Switzerland, Austria, Finland, Norway, America, Canada, but they live near the ski jump, and so they do some ski jumping.
Well, there may always be the possibility that they could be tempted back, because I don't know if you heard, there's a girl called Charlotte Banks who's a snowboard cross athlete. I interviewed her a few episodes ago, and she was competing for France, and in fact she went the last 2 Olympic cycles for France, but she has British parents, and she switched back to GB and is now representing GB. Who knows? But what we should be seeing by the next Winter Olympics in 3 years' time, some British people taking part in ski jumping. And how will you feel to see someone British taking part?
Yeah, no, I think it'd be great. They live out near the ski jump, so hopefully they'll be able to train just like all the others, and and perform really, really well. So I think it would be fantastic.
And hypothetically, I don't have anything to do with it, but obviously Vicky Gosling thinks that you have, a lot of the attributes. If you were asked to kind of contribute or put your thoughts in,
never have done. done.
Would you share your knowledge?
I don't know if it would be relevant really, because what I did 30 years ago, the sport has totally changed now.
Yeah.
Totally changed. So it'll be nice, and I'm always willing to promote ski jumping as much as I can, and skiing in Great Britain and around the world, because I think it's a great sport. But so I'm always happy to do that. But I'm really not sure whether they'll ask me to do anything, especially in a like a training or anything.
Yeah,
like that. So
it's interesting. You say ski jumping has changed. Obviously, in some countries, it's like their main event. In Finland, still. When I was doing a little bit of research for this interview, I came across something which said that you once had a song that reached number 2 in the Finnish charts in 1991.
Yeah.
How on earth did that come about?
Well, because of becoming Eddie the Eagle at the Calgary Olympics.
Yeah.
And in Finland, where ski jumping is literally a religion, everybody ski jumps in Finland. And a Finnish singer and songwriter wrote a song about me, and one of the newspapers in Finland asked me to come over and sing the song with him and do a few gigs. And so I said yes. And so on January the 19th, 1991, I flew up there to meet this guy. But the very morning that I went up there to fly up to meet him, he died of a heart attack.
Oh my God.
And so they asked me to sing the song for him, and I sung it in Finnish, and they released it, and they reached number 2 in the charts. And
that is amazing. You sung it in Finnish. How long did it take you to learn that?
It was hard, and I had the lyrics. I learned the lyrics phonetically, and just kept singing, and people can understand it. And,
right. And you're still living off the royalties from that one now.
I've not had a single royalty. I think I'll have to give them a ring and say, you must owe me millions by now.
That's great, Eddie.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Hi there, listener. Ian here. I just wanted to let you know that you can now support the Ski Podcast at buymeacoffee.com. This blank season has been a tough winter for all snow lovers. I've spent a lot of time and put in a lot of effort to try and give you an episode every week through this winter to give you your taste of snow, even if we can't go out there ourselves. Now, I do it anyway because I love skiing, but if you do enjoy the Ski Podcast and you'd like to support us, then you can literally buy me a coffee, or in my case a tea, at buymeacoffee.com. Just go to buymeacoffee.com/the Ski Podcast. Thanks very much.